Hi Facebook, I'm Ellie Frost and I'm making a video about what it means to kind of manage your energy unconditionally and stay in a feel-good space, and why that's important in order to create what you want from both a practical level and from a kind of manifestation level. So I'm just going to share this. Hi guys. So the challenge, I think, of where a lot of us get stuck, especially when we get we feel like we're going around in circles, or we're not making it happen, or nothing's really changing in the way that we want it to, is because we often make our state of being how we feel, which then affects our beliefs. Hi Irina, hey darling. We often make how we feel very conditional on external stuff, the outside world. But the challenge is what that results in is basically being pushed and pulled by life. It means that our emotions, our feelings, and therefore our point of attraction, and what we're creating can be very much reactive to what's going on outside rather than created from within. And really, to create change and to move towards our dreams and to create the life and business and everything we want, it is an internal job, right? And it comes from creating an emotional state, actually, that's in alignment to how we would feel if we get the things we want, or we are doing the things we want. We have to create that state first in order to attract it in. So that happens from a law of attraction point of view, but also from a cognitive point of view, from a mind point of view, you see. Because if we get caught up in worrying about things and trying to predict things in ways that they might go wrong, or trying to get too caught up in our analysis and thinking too much in ways that aren't serving us. The problem is with that, our minds are wired to literally help us create whatever we're kind of putting out there. So if we're worrying about something a lot, our mind is actually then working behind the scenes, right, to only look at possibilities and perspectives from that point of view. So it's going to basically create evidence that that's true. So if you're thinking, oh, this isn't going to work, this isn't going to work, this isn't going to work, your mind is like a missile, and it's going to start searching for evidence of that. And at the same time, the law of attraction is going to bring you more evidence of things that aren't working. So your subconscious and your conscious and the law of attraction will all work together to reinforce whatever it is you're basically believing. Because if you believe something's going to work, then you're not going to think in the same way as if you're not, as if you feel like it's not going to work. And if you believe something is going to work, you're going to be able to harness, your biggest assets, so your mind, your intuition, your energy, and the law of attraction, in order to create it. So our state of being, our emotional state, is absolutely crucial in everything that we do. And the hardest thing for people to get their head round is making that unconditional. So learning how, when things might look shaky, or when things might look scary, learning how, and learning that it's okay to feel good in those moments, or learning a way to feel easier in those moments, which can often feel wrong to people. Like, we've kind of been taught that it's not, we're supposed to kind of go into mass states of like drama and worry and chaos before any events actually happen most of the time, right? It's just an illusion, it's just an idea that we have. That doesn't serve us. And this idea of like being able to, or prioritizing our emotional state first, is the key. And it's not just that, people get a bit funny about, oh, but then I'll just feel good even though things are not what I want. It doesn't work like that. You get to feel good first. You get to give yourself the emotional state that you're after. And then, of course, the universe is going to bring you other things that match that. So the universe plays snap with us, with our vibration, with our energy, with what we're putting out there. And all of our facilities, if you like, or our excellent kind of intuition, our mind, our subconscious, will all work in accordance with that. So the real transformation often happens in when people can change a perspective, when they can look at a scenario that would have usually really like pushed and pulled them around and made them feel off balance and scared and nervous and basically off track, and handle it in a different way. Because when you handle it in a different way, you're then receptive to the limitless possibilities that there are, and moving away from scarcity and lack and into a more abundant and productive and creative and successful mindset is all about being open to limitless potential and possibilities, but your mind will be shut down to them if you're really beating the drum of that kind of what we call resistance, but it's actually like that anxiety or that drama or that trying to predict what something means. So most of the time where we really trip up is the meaning that we give to things. So it's not so much that an event has occurred, it's what we're predicting it's going to mean. And of course, by doing that, we actually bring that experience into our life, and it's normally what we don't want. If it's if it's not what we want, then we don't want to do that. So what I'm talking about is really like a focus on managing our emotional states first, managing our internal state first, because that's where we've got the most potential to create powerfully and really fast and really impactfully what we want. But most of us have got really, and it's not that they're not really valid reasons, but we've all got really valid reasons to get put off our emotional state. Often people, we can be quite vulnerable to falling at the first hurdle if we're not used to practicing this work. So like something comes up and we're like, oh no, but this means this, and we lose our emotional state, we lose our hold on our energetic, basically our energy state, and that's where we go off track, because all the time we're creating and all the time everything's building momentum, so nothing's neutral. Every thought we have, every belief we have, every action we take is either moving us in the direction of what we want or what we don't want, and everything's building momentum. So all the time we're trying to focus our energy, thoughts, beliefs and actions in alignment to what's desired, what we're really trying to achieve. And all the time we've got to be really conscious of what are we putting out there, because by worrying or getting anxious or trying to make assumptions that don't serve us, we're actually making a decision in that moment that it's not going to work, that we're actually going against what we're trying to create. So this concept is extremely simple, but it's extremely powerful, and it's really like, it is the work to do, and it's very counterintuitive often, because people will say, yeah, but this doesn't look like it's happening right now, so I've got every reason to feel nervous and anxious. And of course you do, and of course you get to have your emotions and process them. It's not whether it's a logical response or not, it's whether we're going to prioritize our energetic state, because that's our point of power. And if we want to step into our power, and it's not power, it's powerful, but it's also very grounded, it's also very kind of secure, being able to like drive this really steady ship of our lives and be moving towards what we want and not be pushed and pulled by every time there's a storm or there's a big wave, like really having this kind of steady energy through things is what's required. And in order to go to the next level of any part of our life, business, whatever we're trying to create, it does require being a different way. We have to be able to hold our energy in a different way, that we're available for what we want, and we're not going to deny it in our energy field or in our beliefs and actions by evidence or things showing up in our lives and letting them put us off track. And most of the time, if things feel like they've escalated in the wrong direction, it's just the momentum that we've given them. It's just how far we've allowed that to go off track. And all we've got to do is get easy with that and point ourselves back in the right direction, but not deny our dream at the same time, not deny our vision. We've got to be able to hold the vision. Holding the vision means holding the vision no matter what's showing up, because often, we're going to have a vision, we're going to have a desire, we're going to have something we feel called to do, and the outside world won't look like that to start with, right? Because we're moving towards something. So it's about holding that despite what's going on around us until that becomes our only reality. And there's a lot to do in that. The work I talk about is about how we shift our identity into that and how we really embody it so that we know it to be true. But before we do that, we have to stay in a feel-good space. We have to stay in a space of being and managing our emotions and our energy that is positive and open and receptive to the insights, the intuitions, like the inspired action we're going to need to get us to that thing. And every time we buy into the bullshit stories of anxiety, of fear, of resistance, we're actually denying what we want. We're actually believing something that isn't true and isn't in alignment, you see. So that's never going to get us to where we want to be. And it's okay. It's about not making that into a big deal, not just literally saying it means nothing. Yeah, okay, I was listening to the wrong voice and it means nothing. And our intuition and our kind of guidance system is a much more subtle knowing than fear and anxiety or resistance. Those voices are really loud. They're never actually real. They're always predicting a future. They're always making assumptions and giving meaning to things that we don't have to adopt. And that every time we get into those stages, it's always about, well, what would I have to believe to be feeling this? And am I willing to let that go now? You know, it's just helping us look at our belief systems, because some people, you know, really big entrepreneurs that take really big risks and stuff, you see, they just don't buy into those voices. They just go for it, and they just go for it, and they just go for it, and they just jump, and they just know how to hold their vibration and their energy and harness the power of their brain to be at peak performance, so that it can actually think for them, and think for them in ways that are directed in the direction of what they want. But while we're becoming, you know, while we're learning that, it becomes these small little shifts that we have to do, like moment by moment, day by day, to choose our emotional state. And you just literally have to sort of go, yeah, I'm not going to go there, right? I can feel that there's a justification, because where people get caught up is they're like, yeah, but I've got every reason to feel bad right now, and I've got every reason not to believe in it. And yeah, you get to process that, you get to have it, but you know, but you get to not choose to be stuck in it, because it just doesn't serve us. And there's this kind of weird feeling that it's somehow wrong to feel good if the outside world isn't exactly as you want it. But it's absolutely crucial to start learning how to feel good in yourself, how to feel positive and expectant, and not make your emotional state conditional on the outside world to be powerful. So it's a paradox in that, although we could beat the drum of, well, it's, you know, I'm allowed to have a bad day and I'm allowed to feel really shit. That's cool. But how much do you want your vision? How much do you want your dream? Because how long you stay there and don't do the work on shifting that is basically you're choosing to push away what you truly want. So then it's about looking at, well, why don't I want it? What bad thing do I think will happen if I achieve this vision? You know, there's always some work to do around, why am I pushing it away? Because fundamentally we are, if we're denying it. We can't move towards something and then contract against it by denying it in our energy field. And we deny things in our energy field when we think, act, or believe in ways that mean it's not possible. And it's not about being realistic and going, yeah, but the probability of this working now at this stage of the game is unlikely. We're much more powerful than that, you know, like we don't really need to judge it and put all these assumptions on things. We just have to keep following what we want and be available for the insights and for the opportunities and for the potential and for the universe basically to work in our favour. And that happens when we adopt a certain energetic space, when we actually think, believe and act in a certain way that's available for that. And if we don't learn how to manage it, then often we're going to be completely wobbly through life, which is a horrible way to be. We're going to make progress, then we're going to step back. We're going to make progress, then we're going to step back. It's a bit like having whiplash. It's just like, it doesn't feel very good. And what we really want to do is do this work first, so that we can maintain a certain way of being regardless of anything else, and then be completely focused on moving towards what we want. Where most people maybe slow themselves down a bit is they get very focused on what they want, but they don't do this work on their energetic. They don't do this work on their vibrational state, their emotional state. And really that's the foundation piece to do. You know, shift the energetic, then employ the strategy. Shift the energetic, and then do the mindset work. Because when you shift the energetic, what you need to work on your mindset will come up. But the vibration and the consciousness is everything, because that starts embodying something in your being in a different way. And I know that sounds quite high level, but what I mean by that is that there's a certain way of being that we need to be in order to achieve a vision or a dream or an idea or something that's desired. It requires us, because we don't have it at present, to kind of step into a new way of thinking and believing and acting around that thing, right? So if we haven't had a relationship and we want a relationship now, we get to, you know, start thinking in a different way in order to bring that into our lives, because we've got lots of beliefs and lots of ideas around what that would mean, for example. And the same with the business. I'm just using that as one example because it came up in my mastermind this morning. But it could be anything that we're trying to call in, right? So we know that in order to get what we want, if we haven't already got it, it's going to require something unfamiliar, which is why we talk about being outside our comfort zone. So it's not supposed to feel completely fearless. It's not supposed to feel completely absent of any kind of... There is a fear involved in a lot of it, but that fear is much more about an sort of anticipation of being outside our comfort zone, being okay with the unfamiliar, than the kind of fear that lies to us and starts predicting, you can't have this because of this, or this is going to go wrong. That's a much louder voice. It's a different thing. So the fear of, this is unfamiliar, this is a bit scary, and normally a little bit exciting at the same time, is very different to the fear-based, ego-based kind of lies that most of us get into when we get into resistance and we get overwhelmed by, because we allow them to build up. And you just want to disengage that energy. You really don't want to feed the fears. It's really not a good idea. So that kind of fear, the best way to deal with that is not to negotiate with it. Don't try and rationalise with it, because it will just, it wants an argument. The best thing to do with it is just disengage from the energy. So you want to get back into anything you can do to feel good, anything you can do to feel in a more easy, kind of relaxed emotional state. Walk away from that thing that's really bothering you if you have to in that moment, and work on the energetic, work on your emotional state. Get yourself in a good feeling space, because from that space you can look at things differently. And we all know this, right? But how seriously we take it is going to affect how quickly we attract the things we want in our lives. So, we hear this stuff, but I think a lot of people are very reluctant to let go of, but this is an appropriate response. I'm supposed to go into drama and chaos right now because this looks bad on the outside. And really, you just don't create at a really high, fast, amazing level if you let your emotional state be conditional on the outside conditions. We have to learn to cultivate it from within. So it's such a resilient state to be in as well, because we're not looking for the outside world to make us feel good at that point. We're not looking for the outside world to fill us up. We're actually in control of our own emotional state, which is all we can control at any point in time anyway. So it is the thing we should take most seriously, right? Because how we feel is everything. Our entire day is made up of basically how we feel. It's not really the things, it's how we feel about them. So taking the emotional state, taking our emotions and energy, as our primary focus, as our main job, is the key to then creating everything we want in our lives. Because once we're in control of that, we can then, as I say, not get pushed and pulled around by life, not get just put off track because something went wrong in the day and allow that to kind of sabotage our business or sabotage what we're building, but actually know that we do have the capacity to control it. And it's not about denying emotions, it's not about shutting them down, it's not about not processing them, it's about not allowing our emotions to take over in a way that sabotages our success. And that's what most people trip up with. So there's a big distinction. It's not numbing stuff out, it's not shutting it down, it's not denying it, it's allowing it, but knowing how to allow it in a really productive way, so that kind of we've got it and it hasn't got us. And this is very, very crucial to really make them, to manifest things, use the law of attraction effectively. It's the most crucial part, because without that foundation, you're just not in the vicinity of it. And secondly, it's crucial because it enables everything to line up within us. So we've got the full function. Our intuition is at its height, our brain is functioning in the right direction. We're not having an internal battle inside. So how can you do that? One, be more conscious of it, be much more aware about how quickly things put you off track. So if you're working on your business, and the computer breaks down or something happens, notice how quickly that puts you off track in a way that makes you make assumptions about the whole thing, because it will show you what your beliefs are. If the computer goes wrong and you don't get to do your call on time, and then you start getting really frustrated and feeling like it's not working and feeling like nothing's going right for you, you've got a whole load of belief work to do there, right? That it's not just that one incident. So it can show you where you need to do the work, because really the point of power is this idea of being very, very stable in our energy, very, very expectant and positive and steady and knowing and anticipating and just knowing that there's really nothing that can happen that can put us off, that we have got that vision, that we are moving towards that vision, that we are absolutely successful in it already. We feel that in our being, and we can bring that about on the outside much quicker. But it starts with these small steps of being very aware of how we manage our energy and emotions day by day, moment by moment. And what really helps us deal with that, as I say, is when things happen and we notice our response. And it definitely isn't about suppressing things. Like I keep saying, it's not about just suppressing how we feel. It's about shining awareness on how we feel and figuring out ways to stay in a better energetic state, because the energetic state and the vibration is the key to everything. That's our set point, that's our foundation, and then we use the right strategies. If we use the strategies and we're not coming from the right starting point, then those strategies are likely just to enforce what we've already got. So if we believe, like, if we're not in the right state, in our being, in our emotions, in our focus, then we're likely to be drawn towards things that keep us where we are or whatever we're reinforcing. So if we're putting out there a transmission of, I don't know, this isn't working, this has to be really hard, it's not working, it has to be really hard, then the things we're going to be drawn to, if we're really beating that drum, holding that in our field and thinking and acting like that a lot, the things that we're drawn to that often we'll think, oh no, this is going to be the answer, is this going to keep us stuck, it's just going to keep us in a goldfish bowl, swimming around with the same evidence. The universe is going to produce the same evidence for whatever our set point is. So our energetic set point and our belief system is the absolute foundation to creating change and to creating what we want. But we have to be really conscious of where things are coming from. And if you want to make big shifts and nothing feels outside your comfort zone, then you're unlikely to be moving towards that because your comfort zone is going to be basically where you are now. It's going to keep where you are now. If you want to change something or transform something, then it's going to feel uncomfortable, right? It's a different way of being, it's a different way of holding your energy, it's a different awareness. So it's quite easy to know whether we're moving towards something or not moving towards it. And that's why you hear a lot of people talking about when they had to make big investments and they got scared and they had to make big choices and decisions and etc. It's because it was outside their comfort zone, but they knew it was a requirement. But it doesn't feel like fear in the way that resistance does. It feels like a bit of excitement and fear. You definitely don't get to where you want to be from where you are unless you make big internal shifts, but it is an internal game first. It's not an external one, and we can't wait for the world to just suddenly show us, what we're trying to create. We have to shift our internal state in order to become that version of ourselves that has those things. And that really means our thoughts, beliefs and actions, our energy has to be lined up. And it does start with, well, how do I manage my energy, my emotions on a daily basis? How do I stay steady and focused on my vision, believe in it, holding it, rather than like the first thing that comes along, I start, I'm on the floor feeling like nothing's working. And, so how quickly do I let that throw me off? Because it will show how strong our belief is. And our belief is everything. It is about stepping out in faith, and it is about stepping out in a way that shows that we believe it. So how does the version of me that believes and knows this is all possible, it's all done and it's all there for me show up today? How does the version of me that knows and believes all of that deal with this situation in front of me in 6 months' time when I've got the business or achieved the relationship or whatever it is you're moving towards? If I was the 6 months ahead version that had all those things, how would I show up in my daily life now? What would I decide about the things that have been bothering me? How would I look at them? Because that's how we really embody the next level and shift our identity into that version. So it's really important to view yourself and see yourself and know yourself as that person that has the things you want or has achieved the things you're moving towards, and feel it as done and start addressing your current situation from that point, right? Because they're not scared to do some of the things that you might be scared of now, and they're certainly not going to get caught up in the same drama and chaos. Every time we get caught up in that drama and chaos, often we're just denying or not believing what we're going towards is possible. So that's the bit that we want to shift and work through. I don't know if you guys have any comments because I can't see any, but that keeps happening on my Facebook, so I guess I have to fix that. I also want to talk to you about moving deeper into purpose. So I'm running again an online program starting in February, and it's a very, very, very deep dive into that soul aligned purpose, and we get really, really clear on what that is for you. We dig really sort of much deeper into what it's about, how you can articulate it and then align you with that purpose in a much more powerful way. And then give, like, at the end of the 6 weeks, the last 2 weeks is very super practical strategies on how to make it happen. But we only do that strategic practical part when we've got really connected and aligned with it, when we've got you in the right energetic set point, when you're really kind of you've already become that version basically, and you're stepping into that next level of leadership and impact. So that's a 6 week online program. It's weekly coaching calls, probably on a Saturday this time, and a Facebook group. It's going to be super powerful, very, very deep work, and fast in terms of bringing things about. So that's, I can put the link on this video, but PM me if you're interested in that, because it's going to be really, really fun. And it's a small group, people really ready to go to the next level, really wanting to raise their vibration and stand and embody that next space. And have the strategies to go out and really do it. So people who are really ready for that. Have a great day, guys. I'll speak to you soon.